Hi you guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new vlog. Welcome to the first reset for 2025. I'm feeling pretty excited about it. I feel like I took a break from the monthly resets last year, and even now going forward, I don't know if there'll be one every single month. I'm really leaning into like the content that I'm excited for and that I want to make, and trying to strike a balance between content that you guys want to see that performs well, but also I'm excited to film. And there was just a good chunk of time last year where I just did not want to film monthly resets, and so I didn't. And I told myself that this year I'd only really film them when I wanted to, and maybe lean towards more of like a quarterly reset system, or just once again setting goals when I want to set monthly goals, and not every month I'm going to want to do that. For example, I know next month, at the end of the month, we're going on our trip for 7 days, so I probably won't film a monthly reset next month, but I wanted to sit down and film one this month because I was feeling pretty inspired, and there was a few monthly goals that I wanted to set, share the books that I've read this year, some new things I've been implementing, and I have a whole list of the things I want to yap about today. So really excited. Grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, a crispy Diet Coke, a crispy soda, a glass of wine, if it's the evening, whatever your heart desires. We're just going to sit and yap, talk about how January has been so far, some of the goals I have for February, the books I read. Yeah, I'm so excited. Let's jump into it. I don't really honestly know where I want to start. Maybe we should start with my February goals because, like I mentioned, I don't know if I'm going to set goals every single month. However, there were some things I really wanted to make sure I got done in February. And yeah, so nothing to reflect on for January. I really just wanted to go into January developing good new routines, making sure that my yearly goals were things that I actually wanted to stick with, and just kind of seeing where January went. January is such a blah month for me. Honestly, it's not my favorite month. It's usually one of the coldest months here in Ontario, and I just honestly wanted to curl up, hibernate, and I did exactly that. When you see how many books I read, you're gonna be like, did you do anything other than read this month? And the answer is no, except junk journal. I did a lot of junk journaling, but I basically just read all month, any spare second that I got. But anyways, let's jump into my goals for February. I decided I wanted to start a new thing where I set like a maximum of 2 goals per category, and if I don't have one for a category, that's okay. I'm not just gonna come up with goals for the sake of coming up with goals. But these are some of the things that I really want to either keep the momentum going into February, or, one-off goals, things I want to accomplish and stuff like that. So let's jump into my monthly goals for February. In personal, I have 2. My first one is find a new therapist and just commit to an intro session. I have really been struggling to find a new therapist. I'm at a good point. Like, I've worked through a lot of the major things in my life, but I'm realizing now that there's some little things that I just want to work on, and I just don't know how well I can do that by myself. Like, just like little things I've noticed about myself because of something, right? Like, I am an extremely insecure person, and I'm an extremely defensive person because a lot of it just goes back to like the way we were raised. And, I was raised that there's a reaction to every action that you have, and I'm an extremely defensive person, and I want to work on that so that I'm a better spouse, and I'm also hopefully a better parent one day. And I just really want to work through a lot of these little things now. With that being said, it's hard to just want to find a new therapist. It's just work to open yourself up to somebody else, and there's always that chance that it's not going to work out. You're gonna have to find someone else, and you're gonna have to repeat all over again. And I was with my previous therapist for a few years, and then I started working with BetterHelp, and I really liked my therapist. However, they were obviously involved in a lot of controversy. I stopped working with them pretty quick. Bouts of therapy here and there, and tried different therapists, and had maybe 1 or 2 sessions with somebody, but I've just never found anyone I really click with. And I just think it would be really helpful. Like I said, there's just a lot of little things I want to work on this year. I'd love to work on my imposter syndrome, but at some degree, I don't know how much I can do by myself, and I would love to just have an unbiased perspective on it. I'm realizing now that I really want to go to therapy for the little things in my life. So I want to try at least to find someone. Again, I think I kind of just gave up. I was trying a few therapists out. I didn't really click with anybody. I kind of took a break from looking for someone, and now I'm just okay, I'm ready. I can do this. It might take a few times, but that's personal goal number 1. Personal goal number 2 is just being better about planning my errands out. Obviously, being a little bit further away from the city, I feel like sometimes I'm still in that city suburb mindset. For example, last week I just like ran out after work, and there's nothing wrong with it from time to time. I just need to be better about planning it out, because I ran to Costco after work, which is like fine. It was only a 35-minute drive. There's one like pretty close to us, to grab like protein bars and stuff. But 2 days later I was going into the office, and I could have just stopped to get protein bars after work and been without protein bars for 2 days. I'm a very obviously impulsive person, and when I get an idea in my head, I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm so spontaneous, and sometimes it's great, but sometimes it just involves a little bit more of a thought process, and I want to be better about like planning out my errands, especially now that I'm consistently going into the office 1 day a week. Like, you can run errands after work and then come home, or you don't always have to go out on your day off. Just like planning things out a little bit better. If I want to run errands on my day off, just make sure I'm getting everything done. I'm the worst for being like, okay, I'm tired of this now, and then I don't do all the errands, and then I end up having to do them like 3 days later. So planning my errands better. In health and wellness, I have find a better balance with daily steps. I'm someone who, like, for the last 2-3 years was consistently walking at least 10,000 steps a day, just with the dogs and getting to the gym and getting on the walking pad in the winter. But I wasn't lifting consistently. I wasn't in a consistent workout routine. I was just walking, which is great, don't get me wrong. However, now that I'm back in a consistent like split of like lifting a few days a week and then doing Pilates 1 day a week, I find on those days that I'm getting different movement in. I'm not walking as much, and I just want to find a better balance on like, maybe I don't need to get 10,000 steps on the days that I'm like lifting and stuff, but aiming for like 7 to 8, because I notice like, I'm like, oh, my loops are closed. Great. But I feel so good when I walk. Helps my gut a ton, I find, and the fresh air even in the winter is good, even though it's cold. So I just want to find a better balance. I find I'm really all or nothing with the steps now. Like, before I was consistently hitting those 10, 12, 13,000 steps because that's all I was doing. But now that I'm lifting again, I'm like so all or nothing. So I just want to find a good in between. And then next is getting back on my water intake. I feel like when it comes to health and wellness, like shift, you really have to take it like one item at a time. If you're trying to implement like 8 things at once, it's going to be so overwhelming. So January was really all about getting up with my alarm, getting up early to go work out after work a few days a week, making sure I'm getting to the gym, sticking to a workout split that works for me. And now I really need to get back on my water intake. I've been slacking. I have been so bad. I've been doing like maybe 40 ounces a day. And once again, it's just one of those things that like I just feel so much better when I have more water in my system. I really want to work on that this month. Book goals. I have a goal to read 1 literary fiction book a month, so I put that down as my goal, and then also read 3 to 4 books off my physical TBR. My goal for this year is to read 30% of my physical TBR, which I have 69 books on my physical TBR, and that works out to be about 20. So I did 3 this month, which felt like a good number, or maybe 3, and then I'm going into February with a book half done off my physical TBR, so I think 3 to 4 is a good number. And then I can get those kind of done before our trip. Business, spend 30 minutes a day interacting with other creators. This is something I want to do more of. Reading comments, no matter where it is, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, is my favorite thing. I love interacting with you guys. I feel like we are just like all friends. I love DMing you guys and having conversations and getting to know all of you. And I want to do the same for other people. I am such a silent watcher, which as a creator, like getting YouTube comments is like the best part of my day. So I want to be better about just going out of my way to comment on other people's YouTube videos, even just like message them and be like, hey, you're doing great. Like, I love your content. I've been trying to do that with new creators that I find, like small creators. I truly think there's room at the table for everyone here. And then also just commenting on Instagrams and TikToks too, and just like building a better community with other creators online. Next is taking a break on vacation. It's okay. We all deserve time off. I really struggle with this, especially with social media. Like, I can take time off my corporate job. I know that's healthy to do. I can set that boundary. But with social media, I don't know why it's so hard for me. Like, I don't know what the rationale behind it is, but I feel like it's so much harder to have that boundary with social media. Like, I love creating content. All I want to do is create content, but it's okay to take time off, and I think it's important to recharge. And I think the first time I ever took a YouTube break was when we got married last year, and I didn't like tell anyone. I just took the week off, didn't upload anything for the week we were in Florida, and it was so nice. I don't know. I'm like worried if I don't upload for a week, like everything I've like worked hard for is just gonna like disappear, but that's just not how it works. And I think if anything, it's good for me to take time off and recharge and get creative and all that stuff. So I really want to hold myself to it, and I want you guys to hold me to it too. I'm not going to be uploading when I'm on vacation, and it's okay. We're going to be filming our cruise and uploading that. I won't be filming in the parks, but there will be like a packing and prepping for a Disney cruise and then our cruise vlog, but it'll go up after we're back. I'm not going to worry about, you know, like sometimes I'm like editing on the plane to get a video up while we're gone, and I want to take a vacation. I deserve a vacation, and it's okay to like say that. And anyways, so that's that. You guys need to hold me to it. For finance, I want to do a low spend month before we travel. I'm actually doing a no spend week this week and next week too, because I'm trying to do one per month. And I thought that if I did one the first week of February, I'm actually gonna do it from February 1st to 7th. So like 7 days, but like it's not like it's a Saturday to a Saturday. I thought that would start me off well, because I really want to do a low spend before our trip, because like I don't need to buy anything before our trip. I have ample Disney clothes, I have ample summer clothes, I have ample bathing suits for our cruise. Like I don't need to buy anything. I've gotten a few little things here and there, like I got a magnet for our door because people decorate their doors on cruises, but I want to hopefully do the first week of February no spend that trickles into a low spend, because at the end of the day, I would way rather spend money when we're on our trip on some pins or something in the parks rather than like something here that I'm just going to forget about in a few weeks. So we're doing a low spend month. I want to do no personal spend before our trip, honestly. Like I'm getting tattoos with my mom for her birthday. So like I will be spending money in February. That's something we've had planned for a while now, but I don't want to be like buying clothes or anything like spontaneously for a trip. I have everything I need. I also just want to budget out our spending for our Florida trip. We're doing another 2-part trip where half of it is business and then half is personal. I talked about this before, but basically anytime that we plan a trip to vlog or plan on vlogging a trip, or if Disney invites us out to the parks or anything like that, that is a business expense. Like we are going on the trip to create content. Like Disneyland, they invited us out to Disneyland. So we went with the intention of creating content for you guys. Same with Salem, same with Sleepy Hollow. And with our cruise, we're going to do like our first time on the Disney cruise, kind of try and document everything you need to know. However, we are going to the parks for a few days after, and I'm not picking up my camera at all. So I'm not vlogging any of that. So that part of the trip is personal. Basically, when you're on a business trip, your food, anything like that can be written off, not souvenirs. I do personal spending for souvenirs, because like even if I'm on a business trip and I buy a souvenir, it's not really like a business purpose. It's like for me. So I want to just budget out our spending for the personal part of our trip to just figure out kind of what we need to budget for groceries, lightning lanes, and all that kind of stuff. Relationship, I have quality time on vacation, no need to scroll. I feel like Disneyland for us was hard because I have had DAS. So I have been really lucky to have DAS, which is Disney's accessibility services, a really long time. I feel like even before it became like this trendy thing to do, like now it's just for developmental delays. Like we tried to get it in Disneyland, we didn't get approved. And that has been a really big coping strategy for me and being able to enjoy the parks, and it's been really, really helpful. Obviously, like, I mean, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20, that's 7 years that I was utilizing the service. So fresh out of my PTSD diagnosis, like we were told, you know, this is an option that you can use in the parks. And so I have always known coping with DAS. It's a bit of an interesting thing to get used to in the parks, and you'll understand why this relates in a second, but Disneyland was once not only just a new park for us, but also the first time we didn't have DAS, and we spent a lot of time in lines, and I have like a max I can do. I can probably do about 20 minutes in a line before I just, you know, I get very triggered. Some queues are worse than others, and we didn't really understand how to use Lightning Lane. And I feel like a large part of our Disneyland trip, we just like weren't connecting because we were constantly just like on our phones in lines. And so I really want to be better this trip about just spending quality time together when we're in lines, and, you know, maybe like playing games together on our phone, like the guessing game where you flip it. And we're also going to, kind of goes back to my last point of budgeting out our spending, we are going to do the Lightning Lane, the new, I can't keep up with all these freaking Lightning Lanes, the multi-pass I think it is, and we can plan our rides out like 7 days in advance. So I'm hoping that helps too. I think we're also going to end up doing an after hours event because we obviously just like love Magic Kingdom. However, some of the ride lines can get really long there, and something that we're kind of coming to terms with is that if we want to enjoy Disney the way we did before, we may just have to save up a little bit more and do some of these after hour events where there aren't as many crowds. So long story short, keeping it real with you guys, I really struggled in Disneyland, which is why I only filmed the one fall day video. The cruise is definitely a miles, like it's a next stepping point for me. Like the thought of a cruise has always given me a lot of anxiety. Like you're literally stuck on a boat with all these people. Like that is like such a big PTSD trigger for me, but I am aware that I need to keep making forward progress and forward momentum in conquering my fears. And we have some resources set in place for the cruise, which is great, but quality time on vacation, no phone scrolling. I'd also like to find a new game for us to play. We love It Takes Two, and a bunch of you guys gave us some really great game recommendations in a previous video. So I just want to find a new one for us to play. I think we're going to play one on the Xbox. I don't remember what it's called, but I brought my Xbox downstairs, A Way Out. And it's like a 2-player game where you are like trying to escape prison. So I thought that could be kind of fun for us to maybe play together. And then for House and Home, we are making such forward progress with the house, you guys. We are back diving deep into the home projects. I'm not sure if the home vlog is going up first or this one. My 2 goals for this month are to pick up paint for our dining room and paint our kitchen cabinets. We are doing a dining room makeover on a budget, and then also giving the kitchen some love too. I gotta swatch some blue colors to kind of just see what will hit the room right, just because we have a few different direction facing windows. And then also our kitchen inspiration. So painting our cabinets, that's like really all we have to do, and just some finishing touches because we already have new countertops. Okay, what do we want to do next? We could do book stuff. We could do my favorite creators lately. I wanted to share this, something I've been doing lately and I love. I'm a really all or nothing person, especially when it comes to getting to the gym, just all that stuff. I'm so all or nothing. Like if I make it a week and then the next week I fall off a little bit, oops, sorry, I hit my laptop, I am like, okay, I'll try again next month. But I started using a habit tracker, and it honestly, it sounds so silly, but it kind of changed my life because I'm a very visual person, and it made me realize that even if I wasn't perfect in a week, I still had more days that I was accomplishing something than I didn't. So highly recommend. I never thought I'd be able to keep up with it, but Matt and I just set like a little reminder in the evening when we're in bed at like 9:30. We just check it off every evening in bed. And so the habits I have, and I'll put them on the screen for you guys here, are making the bed. I do that one every single day. Matt said, start with a habit that you know you can accomplish every day to like kind of get that momentum going. I did 30 to 40 minutes of movement. But there's a few days I missed, and originally I would have been like, ugh, I'm giving up, I'll start next month. But when I look at the big picture, there's more days that I move my body than there wasn't. So I'm gonna call that a win. Waking up with my alarm, same thing. A few days I missed. I do set my alarm on the weekends for 8 because I just want to get into the habit of just getting up with it. But I do let myself sleep in a little bit on the weekends. 80 ounces of water. This one we need to work on for sure next month. And then the no spend day one. As you guys can see, like out of the whole month, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 days. And we are currently the, I don't even know what day of the month this is, but like that's pretty good, honestly. That's like more than half of the days. How many days are there in January? 30 or 31? I actually don't know. 31. So technically 15.5. So honestly pretty good. I highly recommend if you're an all or nothing person, you're very visual. I think it's helped me like immensely overcome my all or nothing mindset and just like work on it, because I see the progress that I'm making and I'm like, wow, like, yes, I didn't get to the gym every single day, or, you know, there were some weeks where I only went twice instead of 3 times. At the end of the month, like overall, I still went so many days. And so yeah, that's like a little tidbit. I've been loving my habit tracker. Ooh, let's talk about some creators I've been loving lately. Maybe we'll do my favorites and then we'll end with the book stuff. That way, if anyone's like not here for that, they don't have to stay. Favorite creators. I'm gonna break it down. Maybe I'll just do YouTube actually. I don't know. I feel bad doing TikTok now because I didn't realize so many people in the States deleted the app and they still can't get it back. So I don't know. Let me know if you guys want me to include TikTok next month. Although so much could change between now and then. Who knows? So much changed in like 12 hours. So current favorite creators on YouTube. Obviously, I watch a lot of the people I've said before, but I'm always looking for new people. If you guys have any comfort creators, let me know who they are down below, because I really want to start watching more people on YouTube and just supporting more people. I watch a ton of YouTube. I watch YouTube definitely on my own more than I watch TV. Matt and I watch a lot of TV together, but I would love to support some other people, especially smaller creators. So if you guys have any recommendations, let me know down below. They could be book, introverty, cozy, yappy, whatever. I would love to know who you guys are watching. In terms of people newer that I have found that I love, okay, first is Joe Lee, and I love his content. He actually opened up a coffee shop with his partner, and he films a lot of just like homebody, solo travel kind of videos, and I just love his like editing style. It's very comforting, very calm, and I really, really enjoy his content. Next we have Fern, and I actually watch her vlog channel. I know she has a main channel. I think it's called Wild Fern, but I'm not like I have a few plants, but like I'm not super into plants, you know what I mean? Like I have a few, I just like water them weekly. But I came across her vlog channel and I love it. It's called Cozy Plant Lady. She does these super yappy, homebody, reading, just like chatty vlogs, and I love them. Her home is filled with so many plants. I believe she's Canadian as well, on the West Coast, and she just gives such a calming vibe. Next we have Carolyn McKiston, I believe is how you say it. She lives in Scotland in a little Scottish cottage, and she did Vlogmas, which is how I found her. Love her videos so much. Once again, just like a very calming, I feel like I'm gonna say the same words over again, like very calming, very cozy, at home. Her video is just like all about cherishing the small moments in her little Scottish cottage, and Scottish cottage, well, that's a hard one to say, and I just love her videos so much as well. Sissel, which I hope that's her name, but that's her channel name, is Sissel, and she, I believe, lives in Seoul, and she is a new mom. I've actually been watching her for a little while now, like when she found out she was pregnant, I want to say, and I just love her content. There's something about these like Seoul Korean content creators. It's so calming the way that they edit, and I just really love her content. She also has a very like calming voice, and how many times can I say cozy and calm when recommending creators? But you guys like get it, when you get the vibe. And then next is Devin Willow. I was so here for TikTok getting banned in the sense that everyone was moving over to YouTube. Like I was so here for that. I didn't want TikTok to get banned, but everyone was coming over to YouTube, which I was like, I absolutely love this. And Devin is one of them. I follow her on Instagram. She does a ton of like introvert Instagram reels, introvert vlogs, renovating her home. And yeah, like her literal whole Vlogmas was like introvert Vlogmas. And she did like, I think like 3 weeks of introvert vlogs, and she does like room makeovers, and I am obsessed with her. I'm scrolling through my subscriptions to see if I'm missing anybody else. I feel like I always recommend the same people, but that's because I genuinely love them. So I'm trying to find some other people. I wish that my subscription bar on the left would show me the people that like I recently subscribed to. I mean, I've been watching her for years, but I feel like no one talks about Gabby Cheyenne. You guys probably follow her on Instagram. I believe she lives in like Southern Ontario. She was like a huge Gymshark athlete. She still does a lot of fitness content, but she films like a ton of reading vlogs, at-home vlogs, just vibing. She did Vlogmas and she slayed. So I love her videos as well. Okay, Yana, I love her so much. I didn't know that she had a YouTube channel. Once again, a TikToker who came over to YouTube. She has a lot of bookish content. I just love her. She is so unfiltered. You can tell she doesn't care what anyone thinks of her. Honestly, I think she's hilarious. So if you're looking for a new book creator to follow, I love her. Okay, honestly, that might be it for new people that I have found lately. In terms of what we watched this month, we start with TV shows or movies. Matt and I are really big TV show people. I think I mentioned this in my like reset for last year. My reset I filmed last year for 2025. Matt and I love TV shows. I think we only watched, let me check I have like a little watch list on my Notion, which I heard you guys, the Notion tour is coming. I'm just trying to perfect it. We watched Fly Me to the Moon with Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson, which we loved. I'd probably give like an 8 on 10, honestly. My husband is huge into space, always has been, and so he really enjoyed it. I also liked it too because it was kind of funny, and I feel like a lot of space movies are more action themed. This was definitely an element of like a rom-com. On Apple TV, I highly recommend if you need like a Friday night movie. It was really good. Scarlett Johansson plays like a marketing executive that gets sent to NASA, and Channing Tatum is like running the team for the Apollo 11 space mission, or the moon landing, sorry. And so basically she's like hired to help market, and then obviously Channing Tatum is like, I don't need your help, like it's NASA, we don't need marketing. It's kind of like a little Grumpy Sunshine, little enemies to lovers, if you will. And it was really, really well done. I really, really enjoyed it. Then we watched Back in Action on Netflix. I am so here for Cameron Diaz making it come back to the big screen. It also had Jamie Foxx in it, and it's basically about this couple who were spies before they had kids. Then they had kids, obviously they just live like a normal life now. And they kind of have to come out of retirement to like solve one last, they're not detectives, they're not solving a case, but like coming out of retirement to, you know, be spies one last time. And it was just like one of those funny spy movies. It's not going to win an award. I thought it was entertaining. I rate purely on vibes when it comes to movies. I'm not like a movie critic. A lot of people thought it was really, really bad. I thought it was just like a funny movie, honestly. Like, it's a cheesy spy movie. What more could you ask for? In terms of TV shows, I feel like we watched a lot this month. You could tell it was cold here because all we did was watch TV shows and read books. I did a rewatch of The Buccaneer season 1, which if you liked Bridgerton, you would enjoy this. It's on Apple TV. It's about a group of 5 girls, and they're kind of just like navigating 1870s London. It's definitely like not as well done as Bridgerton, but I think I enjoyed it more because you get a little glimpse at each of the girls' lives instead of focusing on a couple. We also watched season 2 of Squid Game, or season 2 part 1. We're not really too sure how they're gonna like call it. I loved it. I loved it more than season 1, I think. The first episode I was really unsure of where it was going, but I ended up loving it a lot more, and I thought it was really, really good. Then we watched On Call on Prime Video, which I think binged that in like 2 days. I cannot say no to watching anything with a Pretty Little Liars alumni, okay? Troian Bellisario, is that how you say her name? She slayed on this. It's a cop show, but it's not like it's a drama, but not like a Rookie Blue Grey's Anatomy kind of vibe. Like there's body cam footage, there's like action shots, and there is like a subplot to the season. I really hope it gets renewed for a new season because it was like one of the best cop shows we've ever watched. Crime, family, mafia, gang situation too. So there's like a little bit of a subplot, but then each episode you're obviously like seeing different cases, and it was really, really well done. We really, really enjoyed that. Okay, and then in terms of what we're currently watching, because I think a lot of shows are kind of ongoing right now. We're watching North of North on CBC. We're watching Snack vs. Chef on Netflix. We have a variety because we like a little mix, and different shows come out on different days. So you have to have something to fill the gaps in. The Pit, I talked about that in the last vlog. I love it. That is on Crave in Canada, HBO Max in the States. And then we finally started The Bear. Matt and I are those people who we put off watching a show as long as possible because we know it's going to be amazing. You can only watch it once. And that was us with The Bear, but we finally committed to watching it. We just finished season 1. We watched that in like about 2 days, honestly. It gets dark at like 5. Like what else do you do? We just sit on the couch for 4 hours and watch TV. What else can we go over? I'm going to film a separate monthly budget video. So I'm going to save all that, kind of like my wish list, how we're doing with investment so far, tracking all my 2025 financial goals. We'll do that in a different video, but that is part of my monthly reset. I never share this, but I do update my analytics every single month for YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I can put a screenshot here of what that looks like for one of them. It's the same for all of them. I just changed the name of the platform, but I track that every single month as well. Oh, something I actually want to start getting into the routine of, and I don't think I'll share it on here, but I want to start a document where I write down 2 to 3 things I accomplished at work every month. Once again, I'm a very insecure person. I don't celebrate my wins often enough, and so especially with work, I really want to start writing down things that I either like got an email about saying like you did great on that, or just something I feel proud of that month. So that's something I want to start doing this year as well, monthly, to go through my business expenses too. So I should probably do that. I'm trying to see, maybe we can do like my top 5 business expenses of every month or something. Would you guys be interested in that? But basically all I do is I go through my QuickBooks and I just make sure I link my receipt. I save all my receipts, personal and business, every month, and then I just make sure they're all linked up and it comes from like the appropriate account, and then you have to make sure that your accounts match up in like QuickBooks and stuff. So I do that every single month. But in terms of like my business expenses this month, I guess we can just run through like some of them in case you guys are curious. Our internet bill, my phone bill, parking if I go anywhere to film a video, my book of the month, any like subscription service that I use in order to talk about things in my videos, I write off. So my Audible and then my book of the month. And I do write off 50% of my Amazon Prime membership. If there's anything you split like 50-50, I was told by my accountant to just split it in half. So let's say my Amazon Prime membership every year is $100. I will like pay for it out of my personal account, and then my business will pay me $50 for that expense. It's so windy. Shit is falling over outside. I am scared. Night before our Disney cruise, we obviously are supposed to get in the day before a Disney cruise. We're staying at like a hotel in Port Canaveral, so I was able to expense that. My QuickBooks membership, YouTube Premium, any books that I do buy and I talk about in videos. I'm literally just scrolling through to see. Oh, my NordVPN. I made a donation this month to the LA firefighters. I choose a different organization and a business to donate to monthly through the business. You can use donations through your business to deduct from taxable income, I think up to 75% of your net income for the year. So I made that donation this month. What else did I do? Any like camera stuff that I need to buy. I had to buy a tripod extender this month, memory cards, also my email domain because I own my email domain through Google. I pay for that monthly. Just in case you guys are curious what some of the expenses are for the business, but I go through QuickBooks and I just make sure everything is synced up. I try to, at least. I'm not very good about it. Some months I do it, some months I don't. But, you know, that's a story for a different time. Another thing I do is I also plan out my videos for the month, so I can share with you guys what that looks like here. But what I do is I basically pull up my calendar. Maybe I can put some overlays here and see what I have coming up. And my way about going it is I upload 2 videos a week on YouTube. There's no specific days. I put them in my calendar as Sundays and Thursdays just so there's some sort of structure, but I can move them around if I need to. First thing that I do is I look and see if I have any brand deals and I schedule those videos. So I'm working with Helix in February, which is the mattress we have, and that has a specific submit date and a go live date. So I make sure to plan that video out. So that will probably be some sort of home vlog. After my brand deals, I typically only have like 1 YouTube sponsor a month, 2. I really prefer short form sponsored videos. I like to keep my YouTube just like a yappy, chatty place. And sometimes there's not even any, and that's totally fine with me because you do make money off of YouTube regardless if you have brand deals or not versus other platforms like Instagram and TikTok in Canada. Through and see if there's any specific videos I want to film in a specific time frame in the month. What I mean by that, monthly reset always goes up towards the end of the month. For example, when we travel to Disney, I know that like 3 days after we get back from our trip, I'm going to post the travel vlog. I know I want to film a reading vlog closer to the 3rd week of February because there's a lot of new releases coming out in February that I want to read for that video. So I want to choose to film that video later in the month instead of the beginning of the month. Then I kind of fill in the blanks, and I do give myself some leeway for what I want to do, right? Like if I schedule a home vlog but I really want to film, I don't know, like a payday routine, I kind of let myself do that. I definitely give myself some wiggle room, but I try to plan it out for the most part, and February is pretty much planned out. However, some of the videos are subject to change, right? Just based on how I'm feeling, but I can share what that looks like here for you guys. I like to go into the month with just some idea of what I'm going to film on whichever days. I also just like fill out my calendar too to see if there's just anything I need to add. For example, I know that Matt said that he was having a guys' night next Tuesday. So I'm going to put that in my calendar. I'm actually at a work retreat on the 6th, so I need to put that in my calendar. I add all the books that are coming out on New Release Tuesday into my calendar as well, any TV shows that are coming out, and just update my calendar with all the dates and things that I need for February. I'll probably add our flight times in there later in the month. Just make sure my calendar is as updated as possible. So those are kind of all the little things that I do when I'm resetting for a new month. And lastly, let's go over the books that I read. I want to warn you guys, this is an abnormal amount of books, okay? And also keep in mind that I listen to about half of these on audio. I listen to my audiobook. I think 2 is like pretty, let me know down below, what speed do you guys listen to your audiobooks on? I listen to mine usually on like 1.8 to 2. I feel like I can clear at least 1 to 2 audiobooks a week because I have a lot of downtime in my job. I'm not like a very meeting heavy job, so I can clear a lot of audiobooks. I want to preface by saying this is not a normal reading month for me. This is very high. However, my mental health wasn't that great. And also it was cold as shit here. So if you think about it, like we don't have kids. So in the evening when we're done work, like it's 5 o'clock, we will typically like eat dinner around 6. So I can read from like 5 to 6. We'll eat dinner, walk the dog 6 to 7, and then like either watch TV or read all night. I'm also a huge night owl, so I read from like 10 to at least midnight every single night. And then, you know, listen to audiobooks during the day. So I'm just prefacing by saying this is not normal. This is a lot of books. A lot, and I'm very aware of that. That's how you can correlate the mental health isn't doing so great if I read a lot of books. So with that being said, I read 14 books this month. 7 of those were audiobooks. So technically you could say that like I read physically 7 books this month. My average rating was a 3.8 star. My most read genre was romance, which is kind of shocking because I thought I was on a fantasy kick, but I did, I guess, read a lot of romance this month. I read a decent amount of arcs. I feel like I got a decent amount of arcs this month, which I'm so grateful for because that was one of my 2025 goals, was to try and read more arcs, reach out for more arcs. And so I was so excited when I started getting some on NetGalley. So I'm just going to pull up all my reviews here and we can chat about them. And I have them all here because you guys, if you saw in the reading vlog, I made a little bookshelf just for my 2025 books, which is so convenient because I can just take all the books off of that shelf and they should be in order in which I read them. Actually, okay, to be fair, 2 of these I started in December and then finished in January. First book is Queen of Blood and Stardust by Caitlin Swanson. My friend Mary Beth runs a literary management company and she was putting out requests for arcs for the sequel to this. So I applied, but in the meantime, I was like, I really want to read this because it just sounds really good and it was amazing. I ended up giving it a 4-star. I just love indie fantasy books, okay? There's just something about them that is just great and everyone should read them and they deserve more hype. And I'm all for traditionally published fantasy books, but This is just a great example of like a solid indie fantasy book. I'm gonna try and keep these brief, but this follows our female main character, Lennox. Her family was killed by vampires, so now she is the queen of Lithenia. You know, this was a few years ago, and now she obviously avoids vampires and the blood court and like anything to do with them. We're introduced to our male main character, Luca, who is a vampire. He comes from the blood court, and he wants to be the king. And so his grandfather sends him to Lithenia to work with Lennox, and basically like, if you can work together and bring peace to our kingdoms, like I'll crown you the king. This was like true enemies to lovers. The banter in this was so good. I feel like I read a lot of good enemies to lovers this month. I love this so much, and the only critique I have is I actually wish there was more world building in this. This would be a perfect beginner fantasy book because it's not very world building heavy. Then this was my literary fiction book for January because I'm trying to do one per month, Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. This was cute. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. Something about just like mundane slice of life books about bookshops, like it just captured my heart, and I didn't realize it's something I needed until I read this. However, my critique is that the first half focuses pretty much only on the bookshop, and then the second half is more just like on the female main character's relationship with her aunt. So it kind of almost feels like two different stories. I feel like the second half, instead of winning me over, kind of like pulled me back a bit because I honestly was just like here for the bookshop. So that might just be a me thing, but it just kind of felt like two different stories instead of one cohesively flowing story. Okay, then I listened to Carnal Urges on audiobook by JT Gessinger. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was really, I think I'll give it 3.75 actually. It was so close to a 4-star read. However, I feel like they just developed feelings too quick in the book. Like, he takes this girl hostage. It's like an enemies to lovers, and then they become lovers so quick. I feel like the rest of the book just drags on. Like, you need that tension, you need that angst, you need that slow burn, that yearning, and I feel like that was missing from this book. There were so many funny banter moments where they were true enemies to lovers, and I was just hoping that would have carried further into the book. And I feel like in the second half, when they were already together, like the male main character kind of lost his wittiness and he wasn't really funny anymore. So for a mafia romance, it wasn't my favorite. I would have liked to see more enemies, but it was better than the first book, I will say that. And then I read the sequel to Queen of Blood and Stardust, which is Queen of the Crimson Throne. I got an e-arc for this, and oh my goodness, this was so good. I definitely think I enjoyed it more than the first book, but not in a bad way. Like, I obviously rated the first book pretty high, but we got more world building, and I just loved it so much because that's what kind of was lacking from the first book for me. The pacing was great, and I loved getting to know our side characters more, so I highly recommend reading it when it comes out in February. But if you haven't already, read the first book now. It's on Kindle Unlimited. That way you're ready when the second one comes out. Okay, then I read A Killing Cold by Kate Ellis Marshall, which was my book of the month for January. What Lies in the Dark was one of my top thrillers of 2023, so I definitely had high expectations for this. I actually listened to this on audio because I got an audiobook arc for this, and I honestly really loved the audiobook. The narrator did an amazing job. This basically has like a secluded mansion, rich family, twists and turns, lots of secrets, and it was just like the setup for the perfect thriller. I personally don't love locked room mystery, so it wasn't quite a 5-star read for me, but that's just personal preference. You may love this. I still really enjoyed it. I just don't love locked room mysteries, but definitely a great thriller. Okay, then I also listened to Filthy Rich Fae by Geneva Lee on audio. Mixed feelings about this. I think I gave it a 3-star. It kind of gives mafia romance fantasy vibes. Basically, our female main character makes a deal with the Fae prince to save her brother, and she becomes betrothed to him. But nothing happened in this damn book for like the first, I don't even know, 90%. Like, nothing happened at all. She's just going back and forth between New Orleans and like the other world. So for that reason, I was bored like 90% of the time. However, it did pick up at the end, and it ended on a cliffhanger, so I may read the sequel when it comes out in the spring. I loved the premise of this. I loved that it took place in New Orleans. There's this whole like underworld, but it felt really, really flat. Kind of gives me Zodiac Academy vibes in the sense of the first book where nothing happens, but I was also entertained too, and I really enjoyed the audiobook. Also, really random, but I expected it to be filthy smut, because it's called Filthy Rich Fae, and like there's literally like no sex scenes in it, which is fine, but don't call your book filthy. I guess maybe because they're filthy rich, but I was expecting some filth in this, you know what I mean? Need a battery because I've been yapping so long. 1 second. Okay, we're back. So we have Chasing the Wild, which is the first book in the, let me see what the name of the series is called, Crimson Ridge, I want to say. I don't know where I got this recommendation, but this was spicy as shit. Kind of made up for Filthy Rich Fae not being so spicy. This is a Grumpy Sunshine age gap forbidden romance between a girl and her ex-boyfriend's dad, which like it's not gonna be for everybody, but if you want like a cowboy spicy good time, highly recommend. I haven't decided if I want to read the next book yet because it is like a, what does it say? Does it say in the back what it is? adopted uncle taboo cowboy romance. I'm not too sure how I feel about that, but if you've read the second book in the series, let me know if I should read it. Why is no one talking about this book? This delivered the enemies to lovers properly that I was lacking earlier in the month. This delivered the angst, delivered just, oh my god, the banter in this was incredible. And I think it's probably the best standalone, yeah, you heard that right, fantasy standalone book I've ever read. It was an arranged marriage between a half fae princess and like a fae king. The world building in this was so good. And the only reason I didn't give it a 5-star is I just thought the writing was a little bit choppy, which is like fair. I think this might be a debut. Maybe not. It might not be a debut, but a lot of the other critiques on like Goodreads and Fable said the same thing. I feel like it just didn't flow well sometimes. Like I was constantly kind of going back and being like, wait, what? Like sometimes the words just didn't flow 100%, but if you can get over that, this was like an amazing standalone fantasy enemies to lovers fantasy book. Okay, where we go next? I have a lot of physical copies, I'm just realizing. I guess it's because I'm tackling my physical TBR. Then we have Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. I feel like I read this for weeks. I actually transparently went into January with this like 50% done, and I just like couldn't get through it. I think I'm gonna give it a 3-star. I don't think I'm gonna continue the series. Let me know if I should. I just don't really feel like I connected with the characters, and if this is a series that follows the same characters, it's probably not going to be for me. Honestly, I didn't write down much of this. I just said that I don't feel like I connected with the characters or the plot. Not my favorite dark romance. Not sure if I will continue the series. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was just kind of meh. I talked about this in my book vlog, so I'm not going to talk at length about it, but I did finally read this off of my TBR, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. For me, the plot and execution felt really flat, and it felt really freaking long to me. I did listen to this on audio, and I can completely understand how this is a 5-star read for people. Like, I think it's either like a 3 or a 5, right? Like, it wasn't, once again, bad. I wasn't like head over heels in love with it. It wasn't the most memorable book for me. I definitely will read other V.E. Schwab books because I really loved the author's writing, but once again, I did not feel like I ever connected with Addie. Luke carried this entire book for me, so do with that what you will. I think I talked a lot about these in the reading vlog. The Favorites by Lane Fargo, which everyone and their mom is talking about. Everyone is talking about the audiobook. It's a multicast narration. It is great. It is very much Julia Parks drama meets Daisy Jones and the Six writing style. I did just find it to be a little bit too long. It's not quite a 5-star read for me. It was weirdly fast paced, but also felt like nothing was happening sometimes. And personally, for me, this is like a 4-star rating that I just didn't agree with certain things that happened in the book, and I found the ending to be like a little weird, but it was very close to a 5-star read, and I still had so much fun listening to this. I didn't have a single 5-star read in January. I feel like I've gotten really harsh on my 5-star reads. I used to hand that out like candy, which there's nothing wrong with, but I want 5 stars to feel special, you know? This one was really close. This was a 4.5. The new Sarah Adams book. I transparently have not read the other 2 books in the series, and I did it just fine. So if you're like me, just read this, because everyone says it's the best one, and the author does a really good job at giving you context as to the other 2 books. So if you want to read them, you can, but you don't have to. This was written for the oldest daughter, people-pleasing perfectionist girlies out there. I'm not sure how I was going to feel about it, because it is like a rival teachers, but it takes place over the summer, so they don't really talk about school, which I feel like you either love or you hate. Some people didn't like that they didn't talk about school. I liked it because I'm not really a teacher. I like reading about other professions, but I was like, oh, I really hope this isn't like taking place in the classroom. And it takes place on their summer break. I feel like Sarah Adams books have a lot of depth to them, comparable to like Abby Jimenez, Sarah Poston, Ashley Poston, Emily Henry. Like, there's just depth in this. There's good character growth. There's real world issues, mental health struggles. I felt like the pacing was perfect on this, and I think I read this in, once again, like 2 sittings, and it just felt like a good warm hug. This follows our female main character Emily and our male main character Jack and their rival teachers, and then he moves in next door to her, so it's like a rivals to lovers kind of forced proximity kind of vibe. Yeah, it was really, really cute. Then I read Julie Chan is Dead by Lian Zhang. I feel like I read more than I normally do this month because I'm trying to keep up with the arcs. If you liked Yellowface, you would really, really enjoy this. Kind of a similar concept at literary thriller looking at social media. It was super fast paced. I think I read this in a day. Like, I started it like a Wednesday night, and then by Thursday night I was done it. So like a 24-hour period. Very good debut thriller, literary fiction cult book, basically exploring social media and how it feels like a cult sometimes. I will say the second half takes a really weird turn that I just didn't like. So the first half of the book I'd give 4 stars, the second half like a 2.5, which is kind of where the average rating comes from. I really did enjoy reading it, and it was really fast paced. I'm sure people will love it. I also didn't love Yellowface, so I can kind of see why I didn't love this, but if you liked Yellowface, I'm sure you would really, really love it. And then lastly, we have Phantom by H.D. Carlton, which is Gigi's backstory from Haunting Adeline. You can read this as a standalone if you want. I'm seeing a lot of the same things online. The spice is really great. However, there is literally zero plot to this book. And if you read Haunting Adeline and the other books in the Cat and Mouse duet, the one other book of the Cat and Mouse duet, you would already know everything that happened in this book because we see the journal entries. So I thought we were getting new information. We didn't really get anything different, which kind of bummed me out. Like, it was just like, if you read this as a standalone, you'd be getting fed a lot of new information. But if you've read Haunting Adeline in the second book, is nothing really new. If it was like a 150-page novella, like, I'd be all here for just spice. But for 328 pages, there just wasn't much going on. It was a fast-paced audiobook. I listened to it in one day. It kind of just like also ends abruptly. There is no ending. Not like a quick read, spicy, smutty, stalker, dark, mafia vibes. Go for it, but wasn't my favorite. And those are all the books that I read in January. Wow, I need a glass of water after that. I had some really solid reads and some that were a few misses, but like, c'est la vie, it happens. And I'm really looking forward to February because there's some really good releases. If you haven't already checked it out, I filmed a 50 plus 2025 book releases video, and that has them in like order of books that are coming out this year. So February has some really good ones that I have on hold at the library and I'm so excited about. That is my reset for January. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to do one every single month, but I just like to sit here and yap with you guys just about the month and goals and books I read and, you know, what we're watching on TV. And it's just like a fun little way to catch up, I think. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. This is our new inside joke. Bye.